Standards and expectations. Let's pick up with our goal of ensuring academic integrity and rigor. There are some external agencies that have expectations for what we do with our courses. That includes the Higher Learning Commission, the Kansas Board of Regents, the Kansas State Department of Education. So based on those expectations, I've developed some standards for our virtual college. The one thing I want to point out from the HLC is component 3A. The rigor of the institution's academic offerings is appropriate to higher education. So that brings up two questions. What is rigor and what is appropriate? Rigor is defined by the Carnegie Foundation is a component of time spent in class and in instruction and the amount of work that students do. And then they divide up the in-class instruction and the out-of-class preparation. So let's take a deeper dive into these concepts. First of all, the time spent. One contact hour is defined as 50 minutes of instructional time. During that 50 minutes of instructional time, you would be doing things such as lectures, demonstrations, exams, presentations. The out-of-class preparation is anything such as reading the textbook, studying for a test, any kind of homework assignments. And the Carnegie Foundation has a rule of thumb that there should be 2 hours of preparation outside of class for each hour of in-class instruction. So if you're developing a course that is worth only 1 college credit, you need to design your course with the thought in mind that you need 50 minutes of in-class instruction per week, but then you can also include 100 minutes of out-of-class, homework assignments. This table shows the corresponding amount of time that you need to plan on filling. Now, how do you fill all that time? Well, here are some standard equivalencies that are used throughout higher education. In our in-class activities, the Zoom video conferencing simply is the actual time spent in video conference. Same with watching videos or media clips. When it comes to giving quizzes, our definition will be that a quiz is 10 questions and we would allocate 1 hour. Exams would be 20 questions, we would allocate 2 hours. And then another common activity in the classroom is a threaded discussion forum, which means that a student needs to respond to the starter question, and then throughout the week they need to keep coming back to that discussion forum to see what their classmates have written. For out-of-class activities, writing a reflection paper, 1 page is the equivalent of 1 hour. So a reflection paper is simply asking the student to reflect on or to summarize what they've learned. The research paper, 1 page would be the equivalent of 3 hours. And this is because the research paper requires time for the student to go do their research, find those sources, read the sources, take notes, and then write it in the paper. And the same with case studies. It's the equivalent of 3 hours. We'll have 16 modules. Each week of instruction is 1 module. And we're planning on 40 minutes of instruction per day times 5 days, which would give us a total of 200 minutes of instruction per week. Some schools have block schedules, so that means those high schools will only meet 4 times a week. On average, students are going to get 200 minutes of instruction per week. So those are the expectations that come from external agencies. I've taken all those and put them into a set of standards that focus on 3 areas. If we have a solid foundation of course design and instruction, then we will meet our 3rd goal or 3rd standard of student experience. So let's focus on those course design standards. The first thing we've already seen from the results of the student survey is that students need and want organization. And you've seen in D2L that we have a structure that includes a welcome to the module as well as the read, watch, do flow. We have some formative assessments, which would be low stakes activities such as quizzes or papers or some type of a homework assignment. Now, this is a little bit different than summative assessments, which are more of a high stakes activity. Summative assessment is something where a student needs to demonstrate their competencies. So all that will be incorporated into the structure of our modules. I want to warn you of a couple of things. First is the ethical use of resources. Let's make sure that you have express written permission to use all those materials so that we're not violating copyright standards. The other thing is branding our materials using the identifying logo. So we'll be looking to brand all of our materials so anyone who's in our courses knows for sure that they're in a Washburn Tech course. And then the other thing we're taking a look at for universal design for learning means that our content is inviting and approachable and accessible to learners with all types of abilities and disabilities. The multiple means of engagement means that we're providing a variety of ways for students to engage with each other, with the material, with the instructor. Multiple means of representation means that we're providing numerous ways that we're explaining concepts. We're representing the concepts in ways that students can understand. The multiple means of action and expression means that we're presenting a variety of opportunities for students to demonstrate their learning, to express themselves. Accessibility is something that you need to be aware of. These expectations and standards really come from some laws, the American with Disabilities Act, the Rehab Act. There are guidelines to make sure that our course material online is accessible for someone with a visual impairment. And then our final standard has to do with the peer review process. When you submit your material, of course, we'll go through a proofreading process. Once the course is built, we will ask our full-time faculty to take a look at it to make sure that it aligns with the on-site courses. And then once we're confident that we have a similar online course to our on-site course, then we have administrative approval to actually offer that course.